I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly.
Sure is, yes.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's breaking news that I pulled out of the projects of interest section.
Oh.
Because today at 9 a.m. Sunday, what is today? October 20th at 9 a.m. Pacific Central Time, Tyler Perry posted a picture of what looks like a script for Why Did I Get Married Again?
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing to it. So it's actually two pictures. The first picture is of the eyes, like looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next picture is of what looks like he took a picture of his laptop screen with his phone. And so you see whatever app you use to write scripts. And then the title is Why Did I Get Married Again? So I'm assuming this means he's like in the sort of thought bubble stage, which for him is probably just today.
Uh-huh.
The script will be done by this afternoon.
The script will be done, yes, and everyone should have it FedEx to them by next Sunday. Yeah.
And the movie will be filmed before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
When his new World War II movie comes out.
But who knows? Who knows if the key people will be in it?
Well, the only one that everybody would be interested in doing this, Janet's the only questionable one. Like, would she want to do it?
Well, that's my question. Like, why would you make this movie without her?
You can't, no.
Seems weird.
Although they did kill, what's his name?
Yeah, which one got killed?
Malik Yoba, right?
Janet's husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she tried to shame him in a homophobic way. So then he drives off screaming and gets hit by a car.
And then The Rock has a cameo at the end of the second one.
That's right. So could The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, be Janet's new husband in the new one?
Patricia Agnew?
Could Patricia Agnew marry The Rock?
Hopefully he doesn't have VD. Remember that scene in the first one? VD, even in 2008, like Tyler Perry girl.
Who would I like to see back? Of course, Janet. You know Tasha Smith is fun.
Yes.
And so then you have to have Michael J. White.
And Jill Scott.
Jill Scott's fun, and then Richard T. Jones is fun being awful towards her.
I mean, the boring ones are Tyler Perry and Sharon Leal.
We don't need... I mean, maybe those two...
Poor Sharon. I mean, she had no chance shining with...
being coupled with Tyler
Perry.
But, yeah, so that's kind of exciting.
Oh, and what's his name from Greenleaf, who's Jill Scott's love savior?
I like Lamont Rucker. And actually, I keep thinking I want to take all these little trips where I can just do nothing but watch. I want to rewatch Greenleaf.
Uh-huh.
I want to watch Ab Fab.
Okay.
I want to watch all the little episodes of Got to Be Real and write down all the funny quotes. But
you want to chronicle? You're a chronicler.
Yeah, I'm a wit picker and a chronicler.
Uh-huh.
In other major news, Ava Mendes officially retired.
I mean,
I thought that lady was done when I saw those Instagram ads of her selling eyeglasses. So I don't know.
Well, back when she was acting, I remember being in Toronto and she was selling purses at the Eaton Center or whatever. But I mean, 2014 was her last. She acted in her husband Ryan Gosling's Lost River, and then she was in right around that. Well, that was 2012. She's in Holy Motors, which is one of my favorites of the past decade, a Leos Carax film. But yeah, it's been clear that. But she said that she would only act in a project alongside her husband. She was never in love with it, and she feels like she was never ever really good at it, which makes me sad.
Good for her for knowing what's best for her.
Sure, but I remember we recently, this past year, watched her debut, which was in that Children of the Corn.
That shit is terrible.
And apparently she was so embarrassed by that, she went and took acting lessons.
You know, whenever actors say that, like, didn't Jessica Lange do that after King Kong?
Yeah.
It's like when these queens go on Drag Race and they don't know how to construct a garment. And it's like when you got cast, you had a couple weeks to take a sewing class. You could have taken an acting class.
Well, both Brad Pitt and Jennifer Hudson have made apologies about their early work because they weren't any good. It's like,
that's really pretentious because that presumes that your later work is better. Well, certainly for Jennifer Hudson, I don't think her acting ability I don't think she's a good actor.
Well, Brad Pitt and J-Hud are now Oscar winners.
And Brad Pitt who I really like,
I do too.
is the same in every movie.
This is true. But the thing is about Ava Mendes, there are not many Latinas that have gotten as like that were at the same height of the platform that she got to. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. But again, good for her for knowing. Also, she's married to a man who's in $1 billion movie, so I'm assuming she's straight. Like,
I'm sure they're fine. He's
Yeah.
still got. I mean, he's still got stuff lined up. He never went anywhere. But yeah, I don't know. Just because I think right when she stopped, right when I think she actually started getting good, she started doing interesting things. But whatever.
So we recently reviewed Smile 2,
Mhm.
and in the video I said that this might be my favorite horror film of 2024.
Uh-huh.
And I received many messages like, what about the substance?
Oh God.
But, people pick what they want to hear, because I immediately said after that statement that I would have to check my data because
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
remember what I watched. And I'm sure that there might be some challengers. So, yes, I gave The Substance and Smile 2 the same score.
Mm-hmm.
So did you.
Yeah, I did.
So I don't know. I think, which movie did I enjoy watching more? Smile 2. I had more fun watching that movie.
Sure.
I also, my biggest complaint of The Substance was I thought it was a little too long.
But if you think about it, it's only like 13 minutes longer than Smile 2.
Well, but in the review for The Substance, I said it felt a little too long. And in the review for Smile 2, I said the shit could have been an hour longer.
You were Jubilee.
That's how engaged I was.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like, well, okay, then.
But you have to remember, though, it's your opinion. So it's how you feel.
I think Naomi Scott, I think I like her performance more than Demi Moore or Margaret Qualley's performance.
Certainly more. Qualley is not really a character in Substance.
Now, if we broke down the score, like, how people will do like script, direction, cinematography, acting, blah, blah, blah. I think where The Substance shines is in the story. I think it has more to say and it's more interesting.
Yes.
So there's that. But Smile 2, I like how it looks more. I like the score and the music more. I like the acting more and the pacing. Like, I just think it's a better movie in that regard. But they're equivalent. If I'm forced to choose which one I like more, I would probably say Smile 2. But I will agree that The Substance is like a more interesting story. But who knows? I might change my mind. I have a feeling I'm probably going to watch Smile 2 again before I watch The Substance again. So everything in my little lizard brain is telling me that I like Smile 2 more than The Substance.
And then there you go.
But, as always, I appreciate people's very gentle reminders of things that
I mean, Substance will probably be in my top 10 of the year. I'm not sure about. I did really like Smile 2. I don't know if it'll crack my top 10. I've given many 4s this year, despite the constant reminders that I don't give a lot of 4s. But I actually have given many.
I was also reminded, I've received comments because we reviewed a film called They/Them,
Mm-hmm.
which is like
with Kevin Bacon,
queer, like horror movie set in a camp.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess in the review, Cooper Koch is in that movie. And I commented that he belonged in a Ryan Murphy production.
Oh,
which he is. He's in Monsters, that Netflix series about the Menendez brothers.
He's Eric, yeah.
So, you're welcome. And we also reviewed Monsters, so people should check that out.
Yeah, we made it through that.
We don't have anything in the restaurant section. Everywhere we ate this week. No, that's not true. I forgot we tried something new last night.
No, we didn't.
What's that place?
Oh, Haute Messe.
How do I spell that?
Haute.
Oh, like Haute?
Mm-hmm.
And then Mess. Oh. There's this cute little, like, market. I don't know that it's fully Italian. Like, it's described as a European-inspired market in bakery.
Yeah, because there's like French and Italian stuff.
But it's right next to an Thai restaurant we like.
Mm-hmm.
And so we walked by and I thought, let's go inside, because my fat ass, I thought that When you look inside, I thought what I was looking at was a bakery case, and that all the things I was seeing in there were slices of cake and pie. But I wasn't wearing my glasses, and then we get inside, and I realized that what I was looking at was cheese.
It was bricks of brie. Mm-hmm.
But they do have a bakery.
They do, and they have gelato.
And they have gelato.
And homemade pasta.
Sandwiches, and homemade pasta, and sauce, and lots of wine, like espresso. A lot of really cute little stuff, and the prices were not unreasonable.
No.
So if anyone visits near the Grove, because it's right across the street from the Grove, it's actually right across the street from Erewhon and like CBS Studios. But I would check out Haute Mess, which is such an odd name.
Like high mess.
But it doesn't feel like a mess. It's very cute in there. I will say though that we essentially bought like groceries, right?
Yeah.
Because we just picked stuff and then took it to the front to pay. But then they wanted me to tip like we had been sitting down eating. And what I bought wasn't cheap. So the tip I gave, because I felt pressure, because, you know, they don't give you an option. You can not tip, but then it's like the little bitty button, like the unsubscribe button.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, people are watching you and it's all big what you choose. So I feel pressure. But it's like, yeah, I tipped quite a lot of money just to have someone bag my groceries.
And
I don't like that.
The term, the name is kind of like, I think similar to like shabby chic.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Like a bunch of stuff shoved together that is cute still.
Oh, there was something else I wanted to mention in this section, because you saw like an Instagram video of like the world's best chocolate chip cookies, and you sent me the video, and they did look very good.
Mm-hmm.
And so you decided to make them a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, to me, chocolate chip cookies are like pizza. Like even mediocre pizza is like not the worst.
All pie is good pie.
But then you could also argue that great pizza definitely is like it transcends Red Baron, right?
Oh, for sure.
But I don't think that, because the recipe that you made was quite complicated.
Yeah, and it only made 12 cookies.
But you had to like let the
I had to make the shit, freeze the shit.
Right.
There were like 8 more steps and many more hours involved.
Were they good? Yes, but I think you were nervous because part of the freezing part, I believe, was because the whole gag is that they're supposed to be like really gooey in the middle.
Yeah.
But then you were concerned that maybe they were undercooked.
I don't like eating undercooked shit, and that the way following the instructions, they looked undercooked. But after you let them cool, of course, everything kind of solidifies and they taste yummy gooey. But
honestly, you could have bought the pre-packed Nestle Toll House cookies from the grocery store and made those, and I would have felt like those are like equivalent to what you made. And then 2 days later, you made, because you like to make these oatmeal chocolate chip cookies that you make really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like those are equivalent.
I think those are, I don't know, better. And
well, it also depends, because like my mom likes to make cookies, and I think I don't know that she's the best baker. I think she's a great cook, but sometimes like I feel like sometimes she's drinking when she bakes, or like cooking, and then she doesn't pay attention to the details, like, oh, the butter is supposed to be room temperature, but instead she'll melt it. And so sometimes the cookies come out like cakey, mutated, but they're always good fresh out the oven.
Yeah.
But then like those fancy ones you made, or complicated ones, those weren't best out of the oven. Those need to sit.
They had to sit, yeah.
Then your oatmeal chocolate chip cookies are better out the oven.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they cool like overnight, then they get kind of crispy, which they're still delicious.
Well, you can pop them back in the microwave for a second.
But you know what I mean? It's like every cookie recipe is different. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on like what you want.
It's chemistry. It's chemistry.
Yeah. It's kind of like cake. I like cake. I don't like cake freshly made. I like it to sit in the refrigerator overnight.
You like all the ingredients to be really intimate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyway, moving on. I do have something in the Sorry to This Man section.
Oh, yeah.
Last week when we talked about the Brazilian restaurant, I was going on and on about yucca.
Oh, it's yucca.
But
I said that too.
But it's yucca. Yeah. So sorry to yucca.
Yucca.
Films released we didn't cover. Goodrich.
I think there were a couple press screenings of this that we didn't make it to. I think both you and I like Michael Keaton well enough.
Oh, is this Mila Kunis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to see this.
I
I do like Michael Keaton though.
If they had offered a screener, I might have asked to fit this in, but I also don't like that it's directed by Hallie Myers Shire, who's the daughter.
Hallie Myers Shire.
She's the daughter of Nancy Myers and Charles Shire.
Oh,
So,
that's quite the pedigree.
Oh God, it's annoying. But I did see her first film back in 2017, Home Again, was starring Reese Witherspoon, which is, I have to try not to swear. It's terrible. It's god awful. And I think I'd seen the press screening, and I came to pick you up because you were drunk at that winemaking thing. That's how long ago it was. But I hated Home Again. So it's like, this would have to knock it out the park, Hallie. Okay. I don't know. Cause your mama annoys me, and so does your daddy, frankly. So I don't know. It's annoying. It's like the kind of Nepo baby that annoys me. Why are you making movies?
Next, Bookworm.
This is Aunt Timpson reuniting with Elijah Wood for a strange, I think he plays the wizard, and they're trying to defeat some creature thing with his little daughter.
I watched this trailer. I would have, if there were time.
I think that's just it. There's so little time. But we reviewed their last collaboration, Come to Daddy.
Die Alone. My fantasy. Okay, go ahead.
God. Well, I mean, this is directed by someone named Lowell Dean, but it sounds interesting. It's a zombie movie. I think they're tree zombies or something. It's Canadian feature, starring Carrie-Anne Moss, and Frank Grillo is also in it.
Exhibiting Forgiveness. A chapter in my book.
Footnote. That's a footnote in your book. Exhibiting Forgiveness. When do you exhibit that?
Oh.
It happens or it doesn't. I don't exhibit it.
Maybe a footnote in yours would be Forgive and Forget, which is the Blondie song I really like.
I love Blondie. I can't forget shit. I would love to. You're going to have to put a nail in my brain.
Debbie Harry is the face of Gucci.
Yes.
We just saw her in a big billboard on Sunset. She looks great.
She looks great.
Have I told my Debbie Harry story?
Yes.
Okay.
The dinner and the check, and there's something about Mary. Yes.
Exhibiting Forgiveness.
Exhibiting Forgiveness. Again, I wish I could forget things more than I do. You're lucky to have the brain you have. Anyway, this is, I believe,
shade, but okay,
the directorial debut of Titus Kaphar, which I saw out of Sundance this year, and I think we talked about making time to watch it, but again, we didn't. But it's got a great Andre Holland performance. I love Ingenue Ellis Taylor, who's in it. Also Andra Day. Fantastic cast.
Oh, the Deliverance reunion.
Yeah,
we didn't know we needed.
Well, Andre Holland's on that, but yes, Andre and Ingenue must anyway, or Andra. Sorry, I always wanted to say her anyway.
Do better.
Okay. It's a good film. I don't know that it's going to get any awards attention, even though it probably deserves it more than half the direct that does. But and again, I think this is a hard title to market, because it feels like I'm going to see a self-help.
Oh, you watched this? I watched you watch this
with his daddy that comes back that disrupts everything.
His crackhead daddy.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, The Line.
This sounds interesting. It also has a pretty eclectic, strange cast that I would watch this, but it's a frat boy genre film directed by Ethan Berger, but it stars Alex Wolff, who you know, Halle Bailey, who you also know, and Lewis Pullman, who you seem to have found quite charming.
We saw him. He was sitting in front of us at the CAA screening of The Brutalist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I like Lewis Pullman.
I think you do too.
Okay, Mads.
This sounded interesting. I wanted to fit this in as well, but it's a new film from David Moreau, and
it looks like it's one shot.
It looks pretty.
I think that's the marketing.
I think so too. Yeah,
is that it's all one shot? I thought it looked cool.
It does. I'm glad to see he's kind of coming around again, working more, because he was the writer director of Them back in 2006. So kind of part of the French Splat Pack, and of course was the film I feel that heavily influenced The Strangers, and then of course that franchise in the US. But I prefer Them. But then he did that thing that a lot of foreign people do, a lot of international folks do, is they come to Hollywood and get shackled into something really dumb because he remade this. Is the original Korean The Eye? I haven't. Anyway,
I don't
he
know.
remade The Eye, starring Jessica Alba.
Oh, where she says, "Seeing is belief," or something stupid.
She's got
She has
bookend narration, like sometimes seeing is believing, with that stupid ass voice of hers. And Parker Posey, bless her, is the sister who has nothing to do. But I think Jessica Alba is ruinous, and she certainly is in The Eye. And I think that maybe he's finally starting to kind of be taken seriously again. I don't know.
Every time I see the word rumors, I want to sing the Lindsay Lohan song.
Even though this is a Fleetwood Mac reference, but yes.
But if you look at my top 25 most played songs of all time, I believe Rumors is either number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, I remember when it came out.
Anyway, I sat down to watch Rumors, and then the screening link had expired.
We're
So I did try.
We're supposedly getting another one because I think this
Too
is
late now.
no. I think this is really worth it. It's new Guy Madden in a.
Did you already see it?
I love Kate Blanchett, and I think that you would be highly entertained by this film. Anyway, so maybe more on that later. So maybe we won't talk about that right now.
Fine with me. Woman of the Hour.
This also looked interesting to me. Anna Kendrick making her directorial debut about she's like some talk show host who gets a man on her show that ends up being a serial killer.
Oh, I haven't heard about this. That sounds good.
It has, because I thought.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I have, because I saw things, people saying it was good.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's on Netflix right now.
I'd rather watch this.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I thought Anna Kendrick was
Oh, you saw her and you're like, no.
Yeah. You know who I thought it was? That lady from that movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Channing Tatum, where they're like wiggers. And then
what? What word did you just use?
They call themselves wiggers.
Yeah, but what movie is that?
They're like they get there's like an East LA gang, and
oh god, with Anne Hathaway.
I thought this movie was with Anne Hathaway.
You're talking about Barbara Koppel's narrative debut, which was called we did a
The
podcast
Road to Perdition.
No, that's Spielberg, darling.
Anyway, I'm not interested in no damn Anna Kendrick, but
what was that called? It's a one-word title. Why am I blinking on it? Crazy, no.
Crazy, Sexy, Cool, the TLC story. Channing Tatum, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. What's the lady's name?
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway.
The lady.
Havoc.
Havoc, yeah.
We reviewed Havoc on the podcast. So if our description of this movie sounds good to you, listen to our episode of Havoc.
So you thought Anne Hathaway directed this movie?
No, I thought Anne Hathaway was in it.
No, Anna Kendrick, who looks like Dave Franco to me.
I'm still moderately interested, but not as much as had it been Anne Hathaway.
I know, there's something...
Which is funny, because I used to not like Anne Hathaway. And honestly, I couldn't name a movie she's in besides...
We liked Eileen.
What? Oh, where she's a serial killer?
No, where she's like that psychologist working in the boys' prison.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know she's in Princess Diaries, but I haven't seen that movie.
Well, or you never saw her Oscar-winning Les Mis.
And I don't love The Devil Wears Prada like a lot of people do. But I don't think it's a bad movie.
Like a lot of homosexuals do. I don't either. I think it's okay. I think that director is shite, but whatever.
Projects of Interest, American Psycho.
Luca Guadagnino. Okay, so you have to take anything Luca Guadagnino says with a grain of salt, because over the past 15 years... Is he a
known liar?
No, he just announces a lot of projects that don't actually happen. I'm still horribly upset that The Body Artist, starring Isabelle Huppert and Sigourney Weaver, never happened, and research was done. Anyway, he apparently I think he was also, wasn't he also going to remake East of Eden? No, that was Gary Ross. He had some other Jennifer Lawrence movie. Luca, just... It's like a pregnancy. Once you get past like a certain time, it's safe to say it's happening. Okay. Anyway, apparently he's going to remake Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho, and I've been wanting to rewatch the Mary Harron film for a long time. But you know what? This is an Ellis book I've never read, and I probably need to read it first.
I'm sure you'll order it and add one more thing to the house. Moving on, magic word.
This excited me. I had no idea Maren Ade is finally working on a new film. She, I made you watch Tony Erdmann, which is her third feature back in 2016, starring a fantastic Sandra Hüller. And that was my favorite film of the year. It even trumped Elle, starring Isabel, and directed by Paul Verhoeven. I love Tony Erdmann. I think it's such a fantastic movie. And I made you watch it, as I'm sure your brain's trying to scramble to remember it now. But she's working on a new movie. No idea what it's about, but
Okay, you think you shaded me, but I do remember that movie because she sings Whitney Houston karaoke.
she does. She sings.
You don't know.
I believe the children are the future.
Magic word.
Magic word. I mean, we probably won't see this till 2026, but which is a full decade after Tony Erdmann. But and the guy's dead now, Peter Samanachek. Anyway, and remember they were going to remake that. Jack Nicholson was going to come out of retirement and Kristen Wiig was going to star in.
Maybe they can do it with him and Ava Mendes.
We need we need like Edward James Olmos then or something.
Privacy policy.
Rebecca Zlotowski, who I still maintain is a filmmaker that I feel is highly underrated, also has written a lot of scripts for notable things. She's got a stacked cast for her new feature. Virginia Fira, Matthew Amalric, Daniel Auteuil, and strangely Jodie Foster, who of course has been in several French productions because she's fluent.
All right. Unfortunately, there are entries in the obituary section. Mitzi Gaynor died.
She did.
She's an American actress, singer, and dancer. Her notable films were
South Pacific.
Okay.
She kind of recused herself from the industry because she felt she was better on stage. So she hasn't been in anything since 1963.
Good for her.
But I think anytime she did appear, I think she did a traveling thing in Vegas, or she did a bunch of Vegas shows. But she always thought she felt it's a lot like Ava Mendes. Like I don't really like working in film, and she had other pursuits, but I think is well remembered.
And then, of course, Liam Payne died.
Oh, God, I forgot about that already. But yeah.
He was part of a group called One Direction, which I couldn't name a One Direction song, and then I was asking you, and then your ass was singing One Republic. So I don't know.
I did like a song called Counting Stars? It's a corny ass, dumbass pop song, but I remember liking that.
Counting Stars is not.
It's not them.
Oh, okay. So, but but I am very aware that One Direction is they're one of, I think they're like one of the best selling boy bands of all time. So I know that they're very popular.
Yeah.
And I do like, Harry Styles has some songs I like, but Liam Payne was in Argentina and fell out of a hotel. And have you seen that video?
No.
It's pretty crazy.
Wait,
did you see his ass fall out the damn?
But so they're saying it's accidental? I thought it was suicide.
Well, the authorities, someone released images from inside the hotel and it's filled with drugs. And then
I'm sorry, that's not funny.
And apparently their like hotel staff contacted emergency services saying there was a guest who was like high and drunk out of their mind and like at a risk to themselves and others. And then there were women who had visited the room, I guess partying, but they had left well before he had fallen. And then when you see him fall, it looks like it was not, the fall it's pretty disturbing, but, and then I was reading that like the way he landed doesn't show a reflexive posture, which I don't quite understand what that means. But I guess like if a person had all their faculties when they fell from that height, they would sort of like your body will naturally go into a pose for impact, and his wasn't that way. Which indicates that he was. But I guess the toxicology report hasn't come back yet. But either way, that's crazy. And he was 31 and
young.
But also had a history of addiction and mental health issues. And so
that the person that I dated before you, so it was a long time ago, he had an ex that he was still in touch with that we visited. They lived in Portland, and he had fallen off a hotel roof under mysterious circumstances and lived, obviously, but body incredibly mangled and changed quite a bit after that. But he was never quite the same.
Well, I've told the story before about how I witnessed a lady jump off the top of a hotel, like from the 11th story of the parking lot. Her body was split in half when she hit the ground,
but conveniently, the person that I'm referencing, I think when they couldn't recall the circumstances leading up to it, so nobody knows what was going on. To me, that's what you don't know is always the creepiest part. But
anyway, this is sad because like if it was not his intention to jump, then it's just like,
well, this is why
it's just upsetting that he
probably wasn't in his right mind,
right? And then if his intention was to end his life, that's also sad to think that someone with, because people think you have it all, right? Like you're young, you're good looking, you're famous, you are presumably rich. Then to want to remove yourself from all of that is a mystery to some people. I can see why, but
I feel bad for the hotel workers also. These people's they probably had to talk to the police for hours afterwards. They have families to get home to. Like I don't know, people don't realize the ripple effects of shit, especially when you're not in a good headspace, but it's like you affected a lot of people.
Yeah Okay, moving on to more depressing things. So the secret film this week was my choice. And I chose the 1998 American romantic fantasy film, Practical Magic. Why did I choose this? Because I had never seen it, and I swore in my mind that this was like a legit horror film.
Oh, God, no.
But imagine my surprise when I realized it's like a rom-com. I mean, it's terrible.
So I'd never seen this film. It came out like October 9th, 1998, and that was a bad month for me. So I'd never seen this. I've known plenty of gays. I think the kinds that like pumpkin spice lattes that love this movie. I hated this.
Okay, first of all, what is this movie about? Two witch sisters raised by their eccentric aunts in a small town face close-minded prejudice and a curse which threatens to prevent them ever finding lasting love. Okay, already that sounds like it's doing too much. Because even from this IMDb premise, you think it's going to be, like two witch sisters raised by their eccentric aunts in a small town. You think, oh, it's going to be like Hocus Pocus or, but then you read face closed-minded prejudice and a curse which threatens them. Then you think maybe something like more dark, like The Witches of Eastwick,
which I am a fan of George Miller's.
But then the final words, preventing them from finding lasting love, and then it's like, now wait a minute,
like Gloria Estefan,
what is this? And so to me, I didn't read the premise before I put on the movie. Had I would have questioned myself. Like these themes don't go together, and this movie doesn't go together.
No,
like
I think that it's based on a book by Alice Hoffman, and I have to imagine because apparently when you talk, director Griffin Dunne's original cut was much darker, and the studio did not like that for whatever reason.
Okay, after watching it, I thought I could see the book being a fun read because there's certain elements of the story that I think deserve and would benefit from having more time. But the way this this screenplay is constructed and the way the final cut ended up, it's perplexing to me. It's so jarring. Like we're going from one tone to another. There's so much I didn't like, but the director is Griffin Dunne,
son of Dominic,
who was portrayed by Nathan Lane in that Netflix series Monsters we just referred to. And I hated Nathan Lane's portrayal of this character. But what other stuff has Griffin done?
Well, I like him better as an actor. He did.
Oh, he's an American Werewolf in London.
And also Martin Scorsese's After Hours, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen it. But a lot of character actor stuff. But the first film he directed right before this was a Hollywood studio film, Addicted to Love, starring Meg Ryan and Matthew Broderick and some other blonde woman. Is it Kelly Preston? Anyway, I've never seen that, but it sounds terrible to me. And I don't know. I don't know that he had the kind of control he would have needed to make this film what it should be.
Okay, I'm going to try to tell this complicated ass story. It's about witches, and we see like 300 years ago, there was this lady in a small town in Massachusetts who was like tried as a witch. So they were about to hang her ass when she used her witchcraft to escape the hanging. So she goes off to some island, but she's pregnant, and the man who impregnated her never came to get her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's so heartbroken that she basically like creates a curse that any of the women from her lineage are cursed that if they fall in love with a man, that man will die to prevent them from ever feeling the heartbreak she felt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So then we flash forward and we see these two little girls who are part of this lineage. Their mom dies from a broken heart. And so these two little girls go, one of whom is played by
Camilla Bell. What becomes of the brokenhearted? They die.
no, the little girls are Camilla Bell and Rachel Evan Wood.
No, Evan Rachel Wood plays one of Sandra Bullock's children.
Oh, whatever. These two little girls, a redhead and a brunette, they are like kind of orphans. So they go to live with some aunts, they're calling them, who are also witches, and they live off this, they live on an island, like off New England. Okay, the aunts are played by
Stockard Channing and Dianne Wiest, Aunt Frances and Aunt Jet.
Okay. So then we flash forward some time and we see the adult versions of those young girls are Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. Okay. So they're sisters and they're the best of friends, but Nicole Kidman is like the wild child, while Sandra Bullock is very buttoned down. She doesn't even like magic or doesn't want to use it, even though we're told that she's like 10 times more powerful than her sister.
Are you a good witch?
So Nicole Kidman one day says, I need to sow my oats. I'm leaving. Sandra's sad, but they make a promise that they'll, one day they'll come back together and live forever, not unlike Stockard and Dianne. Okay. So they were raised to know that they can never fall in love. So Sandra is really preoccupied with the idea that she'll never fall in love, while Nicole is like, well, then I guess if you're not Mr. Right, you're Mr. Right now. So she's just a slut.
She's going to spread like mustard.
She's Naomi. What's that movie? Who's that lady? Her mama died.
Ashley Judd?
Ashley Judd. I wanted to call her Naomi Watts.
Nope. Ooh, you're getting some cross wires.
Ashley Judd is in a movie we hated
called Twisted,
where she plays a slut.
Directed by Phil Kaufman at that. My God.
Anyway, Sandra Bullock does end up falling in love with like this man who like delivers groceries, and they get married and have kids.
And that is in a montage like 3 years have passed and we got babies.
Well, it's more than 3 years, the full montage, because their children are like, the age of whatever Evan Rachel Wood is in the movie. When one day we're told that when these witches fall in, like when they finally fall in love, when the man's gonna die, there's this death beetle that comes around.
It makes its little noise.
It makes its little cricket sound, and that's when you know the man's gonna die. So we see Sandra Bullock like asleep in bed with her husband and one of her kids, I think, or both, and they're big kids. So she's been married with these kids for years, and then finally on this night, it's like she's finally fallen in love with him.
But also, like, if you really love somebody, wouldn't you be like, look, I know this sounds crazy, but could you be extra special careful today?
Well, here, I want to circle back to this whole segment because I think that probably in the book it's much better. But anyway, her husband dies, so she's distraught. She reaches out to her sister, Nicole, and Nicole comes to console her. Seems like, she's doing a little better. So one day, like now that Nicole's back in her life, like, wherever she lives, Nicole is dating Goran Višnjić,
who's Croatian playing a Bulgarian, but yeah,
and he's terribly abusive. He's a nice looking man, but he seems a little swarthy and clearly like not a good guy. One day, Sandra Bullock gets a call from Nicole talking about, girl, he done whipped my ass. So Sandra gets on a plane and goes to get her sister to abscond with her. But while they're trying to escape, Goran.
By swarthy, did you mean smarmy?
Doesn't swarthy mean like kind of like greasy and like?
I think that, well, to me, that's more like heavy set.
Oh,
There's a heavy set quality to swarthy, but
does swarthy? Oh, well, the dictionary, the Oxford says it means dark skinned.
oh, okay.
Really?
Sure.
What is a swarthy? Okay, vocabulary.com says swarthy means dark skinned. If you like tall, dark, and handsome
Oh,
men.
then yes, you're
I
correct.
guess, yeah. I mean, he's not that. I mean, he's like olive skinned. He's sexy, but he's clearly trouble.
Sleazy. They call him vampirish, I think.
Anyway, he ends up kidnapping Sandra and Nicole at gunpoint. And these two heifers know magic, but they choose not to use it at this moment. They get kidnapped, and Sandra Bullock inadvertently kills Goran by like overdosing him with belladonna. So now they're freaking out, like, oh my God, we're going to get arrested for killing this man. And Nicole's like, well, why don't you do like a reincarnation spell? And then we remember that earlier in the film, when Sandra's husband died, she begged her aunts Dianne and Stockard to bring him back to life. And they're like, girl, that's some pet cemetery shit. We're not doing that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So Sandra says, we can't do that. He's going to come back like the pet cemetery. And Nicole's like, great, who cares? As long as he's walking, we're not going to be convicted of murder. So they drag his ass back to the island, perform this spell, and then he comes back as like this evil demon and ultimately possesses Nicole Kidman. But while all this is happening for like 45 minutes of the movie, maybe even more, like an hour, Aidan Quinn shows up as a detective from Tucson, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why he had to come from Tucson.
I'm a special investigator.
Except that we find out that Goran is not just like an abusive boyfriend. It seems that he is like a serial abuser. And not only is he abusing these women, but he's killing them and marking them with his, he wears like this ring that looks like a skull,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll get it hot with his cigarette lighter and then burn these women, like brandishing them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's big trouble. So that's probably why you have someone from Arizona, because he's probably left a trail of dead women.
But there's only one man, not the FBI. There's one man that pops up.
So why is Aidan important? Because Sandra Bullock's character, when she was a little girl, was obsessed with never being able to fall in love. And she had written a letter.
Well, in her diary.
Or like in her diary, she had written
a spell
saying that, you know, like, I can never fall in love. And then she said that she can only fall in love with like an impossible man. And that impossible man would have 2-color eyes.
Mm-hmm. Jane Seymour.
And would like be able to flip pancakes and stuff that like a 9-year-old would say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess who has 2-color eyes?
And flips pancakes shaped like cacti.
Aidan Quinn. And Sandra has 2 little girls. And those girls had read her diary. So they know that Aidan Quinn is like her one true love. So it's like a rom-com set within this sort of like dark story about a man who they've killed. But anyway, it all culminates in Nicole being possessed by this demon, and the aunts, who at one point just leave.
They're like, you girls have to take care of this mess yourselves.
You have to clean up your own mess. So the aunts literally just leave them to deal with this demon man. They come back and they're like, oh, you didn't resolve the problem. Okay, well, this is what we can do. We can cast a spell to get the spirit out of Nicole, but we're not strong enough, the 4 of us. We need a coven.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have to remember that the entire community for 300 years has hated these women who live like in this house, I guess.
The children follow them when they're young girls.
Little children in modern day follow these girls around, throwing rocks at them, calling them witches.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Sandra Bullock calls all the mothers from her kids' school and straight up tells them.
She's head of the phone tree. We need to revisit that.
Oh, yeah, I have that written down. Sandra Bullock calls all these mothers who we get. This movie has moments that are kind of like documentary style because it's Aidan Quinn asking them about Sandra Bullock. And all these mothers are like, oh, they're horrible. They're murderous. They're witches.
Yeah.
These same women, when they get one phone call, they jump at the chance to help Sandra Bullock. Which is the tagline of the movie, that there's a little witch in all of us or something.
In every woman.
In every woman.
So not me.
And
Not you.
and Sandra even tells them bring a broomstick, and all these ladies bring broomsticks except one who brings a dirt
The
devil.
bitch that brings the dirt devil, I would have shown her to the door. Like, you are not helpful to us right now.
Anyway, this coven of ignorant ass women perform this spell, but it's still not strong enough. But then I guess, are supposed to remember that we're told Sandra Bullock is like stronger than Nicole.
Strong enough for a woman, but made for a witch.
Or, well, then you think the Britney Spears song, although I think of the Cher song, which is on that album with Believe. Remember that song, Strong?
Strong. Yeah.
How does Sandra Bullock lure out the demon after all this? With some brown liquor, because we have to remember that Goran was an alcoholic. So she lures him out, and then she uses magic to like disintegrate his spirit. And they take the brooms and sweep him out to like the burial site. And then off screen, it seems like they have been working on some potion in a big cauldron.
Yeah, they have a bubble, boil, and trouble bullshit. Yeah.
Toil and trouble. They pour that shit on the ashes, and I guess now he's dead forever. And then, of course, we have to circle back to Aidan, who sends a certified letter saying, "Oh, the investigation is complete. We labeled his death accidental."
He sends back the evidence,
and then sends back the evidence, the ring, the skull ring
that popped out of a toad's mouth.
But then, of course, Aidan shows up, and I guess he and Sandra will live happily, as happy as two people can be for a long period of time. The end. Man, I was so disappointed in this movie.
You know, as a kid, I remember really liking the poster art because I think Bullock and Kidman are beautiful. And I think that the imagery of the poster, I think, is very striking. But that is the only positive thing I have to say about that.
Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman with their original faces are beautiful.
Yes.
Well, let's start there. Okay. These witches were told again, I'm assuming in the book it's all better detailed and developed, but I get the sense that these women live like a gluttonous, delicious life because they talk about like, oh, we can eat candy and we don't have to brush our teeth, and all we ever see them eating is stuff that you shouldn't be eating.
Yes.
If you want to be slim and trim.
If you don't want to develop type 2 diabetes, yes.
Okay. So my first thought is the casting. I think Stockard Channing and Dianne Wiest were the wrong women. I think that the women that should have played the aunts should have been like slightly older but equally as beautiful versions of Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. So I'm thinking like a Michelle Pfeiffer and Sigourney Weaver,
who had just played a witch the year before.
And I'm not just saying Sigourney Weaver because like I really do think that it should have been women like those, like beautiful, like, you know, women who look at like in 1998 who look like prime examples.
Well, Isabella Rossellini then. Well,
or Isabella Rossellini, sure. Or
she could have come from the European.
Who's Kurt Russell's Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn back then, yeah.
Yeah. But Dianne Wiest and Stockard Channing, especially Stockard Channing, they could have made her look a little nicer.
They could have made. I think Stockard could have popped more, but yeah.
But they make them look the same from back when
they were popping.
And it just is like this,
like the 20s.
And then both of them have bad teeth, but I don't think they're bad. I think that's just their actual teeth. But it's just like I don't understand.
Can we back up though to the opening scene with the ancient relative that survived the hanging with her by snapping the rope? That community lets her go so easily.
You were about to hang. You essentially lynched and were about to hang this lady, like a mob.
And
was prepared to hang this lady.
You just let her go?
And well, they witness her, I guess, perform magic, and then I guess they're scared, so they just let her go.
I don't believe that these ignorant people would be stupid enough to do that. But
let me go through my notes then, so we don't miss anything.
We needed a Witchfinder General to come in.
I hated this soundtrack. It was driving me crazy. It's so jarring.
Well, first the score, Alan Silvestri. This is. Oh my God! Every moment of score is egregiously awful.
The score sounds like it's some sort of like sci-fi action adventure for like preteens,
but it's so wispy and wistful and like leading. It is not just leading your emotions. It is grabbing them out of your chest and throwing them on the ground. Like you're supposed to be sad right now is what the soundtrack is saying. The score. I hated it.
The soundtrack is just so interruptive. Like,
Well, Faith Hill.
and then it's so it's so pronounced, and then they chose like songs that are modern, which like the danger of that is that it's going to sound dated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, because they sing "Always on My Mind" is a song that is important to one of the characters, and we hear it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Selections like that make sense because those songs are timeless. But then you have, Faith Hill. You have a Stevie Nicks song that's kind of like the main song of the album or the soundtrack, which plays at the end.
Well, I kept waiting for Meredith Brooks, who was blasted all over the goddamn trailer.
But you have other songs that are of that ilk of like stuff that you would have heard at Lilith Fair or something.
Yes.
And it just is.
But not willing to go there or examine anything. This is so like a candle. This movie is a candle that you bought from Home Goods. Like,
okay, getting to the story. I thought the whole Death Beetle thing was kind of cute.
Could have been cute.
Except when we get to Sandra Bullock hearing the Death Beetle, and then we see her literally tear up her entire floorboards of like her living room trying to find this beetle.
Mm-hmm.
This is where one of my major problems is. They get into so much like, I don't understand why they don't use their magic when it would help them.
Right.
Because we see both of them use magic for things that are like, okay, who cares? You're stirring your coffee, or like at one point, Nicole uses it to like bop some lady in the head or something.
Yes.
Like trying to be bitchy. But then when you're being kidnapped at gunpoint, you don't use it.
You don't do anything?
When your husband's about to die unless you can find this beetle. Why didn't she use her magic to like vacuum up the floor or something? I don't
The magic of communication also would have been like, be careful, because how the husband dies is totally ridiculous.
Okay, Sandra Bullock's husband is delivering groceries.
Well, he's pushing fruit. He's a fruit peddler. Okay?
He's a fruit peddler, sorry. And he's pushing his dolly with fruit.
In the middle of the street.
In the middle of the street when all of a sudden the Tour de France comes. Right?
Yes.
So all these bicyclists almost run his ass over.
They're like, Michael, watch out. And
so he survives that. And then he's just still standing there looking confused. And then all of a sudden, the Jeepers Creepers truck,
a Mack truck,
hits him,
blasts him. But
how did that truck not see him?
The truck didn't see him. The truck, they're like on Main Street, USA.
They're on Main Street, USA. Tour de France just came through. There's this man who's standing there with all this stuff for a long time.
The speed limit on the street cannot be more than 20 mimps, let me tell you.
Also, the truck didn't look like it was moving that fast. So I don't understand how the truck didn't see. That scene was terrible.
I think what it would have been fun is like she told him to be careful and he's avoiding all these really obvious deaths and then something.
Okay. Well, actually,
what do I know?
That would have been fun. That Sandra, you know what? There are so many aspects of this story that I thought a better story would have been, just like you said, why didn't we spend more time with maybe Sandra trying to protect her husband, but finally realizing that her magic wasn't enough?
Because there was a curse, yeah.
And not fully understanding.
And maybe in the metaphor, because a lot of movies with witches and are metaphorical, is like the power of the self-fulfilling prophecy.
When Nicole decides that she wants to leave the aunt's home to go sow her oats, they make a promise that they'll join, that one day they'll be back together and they'll die together and they're going to die at the same time. And then Nicole initiates a blood swear. So she cuts her both hands. And I just thought it's so funny to me because, bloodborne pathogens were such a huge, I feel like ever since the AIDS crisis and up until, I feel like that used to be such a big deal. Mm-hmm. And it seems like nowadays people don't really, I was just kind of shocked to see, I don't know.
Well,
I just thought it was funny.
A lot of things it seems we used to be deathly afraid of have now become fashionable again.
Sure. Okay. Another issue I had is why aren't these two ladies are obsessed with falling in love? Mm-hmm. Why aren't they working on a spell to reverse the curse? There's no mention of Stockard, Dianne, Sandra, Nicole. None of them ever even think about how do you reverse the curse?
Especially because we learned Stockard had a lover that died, but Dianne didn't. Was Dianne a lesbian? Or something interesting, like maybe only the lesbians of the Owens girls are happy. Something sapphic, something silly.
Do you want to? Well, now would be a good time to talk about. You read that there's a practical magic 2 in the greenlit.
There is with Sandy and Nikki, both attached. We don't know. Everybody else is still alive. Aidan Quinn does not look good. We reviewed that film with he and Liam Neeson. Remember Blackout or Blacklight recently? He looked
Well, the
terrible.
gag is that we're told that they don't age. So
Right.
for sure, Dianne and Stockard are not going to be able to look. Well, I don't know. And then Nicole and Sandra with their new faces, I don't know. And then
There's some transformations have happened. Yes.
they might have to do like some CGI,
I don't think.
and maybe they're going to make cameos, like they're not like the stars.
You know, you need like a fierce woman to direct this sequel.
But the reason I brought it up is because what about like the lesbians? What about like or just more commentary? Because I feel like this. I really want to believe that the book has stronger themes about like empowerment and like women not feeling safe and how men are. Because I thought the most powerful moment in the film is when Sandra calls her sister after her husband dies, and so they're reconnecting. And Nicole's sharing how like she met this really swarthy man who she's really sprung on, but she has to like kind of secretly drug him with belladonna and then she says, because he's so much stronger than I am. And immediately that clued me into like, oh, I think that he's abusive towards her. That was the most powerful moment in the film. And I thought like, wouldn't it have been so amazing to tell the story around the idea of like these like these women use their magic to basically control men, but it's not controlling them like how men try to control women. It's like they're controlling them to feel safe. I feel like that could have been a really interesting angle.
Right.
Well, I wonder if the book talks about that more.
I haven't read anything by Alice Hoffman, but the decade, 15 years prior to Practical Magic, she had another book that was adapted. Well, no, maybe she just wrote the script, but it also starred Dianne Wiest in a very nice early Dianne Wiest performance. And I don't remember if she's the sister, but a friend of Kathleen Quinlan, who's the lead. And it's about women in a small town that actually have, from what I remember, a very similar kind of experience with the men in their lives as these sisters do in this film. So I think Alice Hoffman, I would imagine there's a lot more seriousness. Although she did write Aquamarine, which I've never seen. But
okay, let's talk about the two leads. Nicole Kidman as a boozy slut who likes to dance and smoke cigarettes was a little bit of a stretch. Although I think that of everyone in the film, she would probably be the best equipped to manage a better character.
The character works the best, I think.
But it's like, watching her just drink and smoke, it doesn't. I mean, granted, if they're supposed to never age or never be affected by bad living, then I guess it makes sense. The thing that was most cringy to me, though, is Nicole dancing. Because, there are people who can dance. Like, obviously, they have rhythm and they can dance. And then there are people who don't know how to dance but like to dance. So then it's like watching someone who's not a great dancer but they're having fun also reads very authentic.
Yes.
Right? But Nicole's neither of those. She's someone who looks like she doesn't dance and is not enjoying having to dance in this movie. And so she's just doing that thing where it's like, whoa, yeah, I'm crazy and drunk and horny.
Lock up your husbands, ladies.
Yeah, it's also just fake. Okay, I found a meme on X, basically, because Sandra, her character in this island town, she owns a shop where she makes potions that she sells, and that shop looks exactly like Rose Apothecary from Schitt's Creek. And then I found a meme on X where someone said that Sandra's shop is basically Rose Apothecary.
It is almost exactly the same, but despite being a pariah of the community, people are bebopping around in there all the time and gossipy as hell inside it.
Okay, well, that part, and then also the meme, because I shared that meme on Fish Jelly Instagram, but then it also says like this is equally like a gay icon
or contributing to gay culture,
something. And I was surprised to read that because I, as a middle-aged gay man, I don't recall anyone ever talking about.
I've known a few homosexuals,
but I also, I guess, didn't run in the pumpkin spice latte crowd. But I I don't see it. I don't see because to me, something like Witches of Eastwick or Hocus Pocus, like fabulous ladies who are kind of like bitchy, and
Because
Dianne Wiest and Stockard Channing,
they
I
have
feel like every line of dialogue they recite, it seems like they're bored.
they are completely underutilized, and I think that is the greatest crime of this film. But yeah, I don't even love Hocus Pocus, but Bette Midler's, giving it to us
Well,
in
and
that.
like Sarah Jessica Parker, and like she, as being this sexy witch, even that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, Witches of Eastwick. I mean, those ladies,
Those ladies are
and then the
fantastic.
fact that it's sexual, and
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah,
and Veronica Cartwright in that film.
I don't see what about practical magic appeals to the queers, but
Except that it's something that maybe gay men of a certain age, their mother let them watch this.
we find out Nicole's man Goran whooped her ass over a jelly donut because he said he referred to the jelly inside of the donut as like cream or something, and she mocked him like it's not cream, it's jelly, and that's what sparked the fight.
He's, I mean, he's fine. I don't know if you remember him as Christopher Plummer's lover in Beginners. He's also in Tilda Swinton. I think he's a cop in The Deep End, which I
I
really
liked
want to
him. I mean,
rewatch.
he plays a great like sort of like like a bad boy,
Sure.
like a man you would find attractive, but you also know is trouble. So he's good casting.
Also, as the some of Sandra's employees, we have Margot Martindale and Chloe Webb.
Oh, but I got ahead of myself because we were talking about the main characters. We didn't talk
Oh,
about
okay.
Sandra. Okay,
Sandra
Sandra,
drove me crazy.
she is the same in every movie. She has this like really, her acting style is because even in interviews, she's kind of like sarcastic
She's
and
smug.
dry, smug. But then like her physical acting is very like a kid having a tantrum, and
When she has to get kind of sharp and whiny when she's experiencing some kind of emotional conundrum i- in a film like this, which is artificial in every possible way, I hate it. It is loathsome.
I also didn't understand her hair because when we first meet her as an adult, her hair looks like it's been flat ironed.
Hmm.
But then when she's under the most stress, like after the death of Goran and them trying to hide it, and the Aidan Quinn coming to investigate, all of a sudden now her hair is curly,
Hmm.
but it looks like she has curled it. But again, is she choosing to use her magic to do stuff like that, but not actually solve problems? I don't
Well,
understand.
we only ever see her stirring things.
Okay, the way it this script is not good, but I understood that the way Goran's spirit was able to get into the house is that because I'm assuming that the aunts had this protective shield around their home, but the way he's able to get inside is that he put his essence in this brown liquor bottle
Uh huh.
and put it at the front door.
And they bring it.
And these ladies, the aunts, who are supposed to be very wise, bring in this bottle of liquor, and they acknowledge, like, I don't know, it was just someone left some liquor on the porch. Why would you drink from a liquor bottle that someone randomly left on your porch when you know the entire community hates you? I
Right.
just don't understand.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that I watched Dragula, and at the beginning of like the new season and the last season, they make like a little short film.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the Boulet brothers could have done a better job with this movie than who's this director again?
Griffin Dunne.
Oh, okay. Aidan Quinn showing up.
Ugh.
I just thought that character, because at first you're like, oh, he's attracted to her, but then immediately he's like, well, you better lawyer up because.
We before we keep talking, you better get a lawyer. It's like, but wait, is she under arrest? Like, what exactly are the parameters of
And
this
then she goes
questioning?
to him to confess, and then he says, I promise you, I'll do everything to like make sure, like to take care of you. And then they start having sex
Uh-huh.
until she realizes that he has two color eyes. And then she's like, oh, I can't do this.
Uh,
This is why you think you shouldn't do this? Okay.
well, no. Before that happens, they have like breakfasts with Aidan Quinn there, and that's where we make the pancakes, where the girls understand that he flips pancakes and has two colored eyes. He's the one. And then that inextricably Toad pukes up this ring, and then Aidan Quinn loses it.
Yeah, because he's like, you're lying to me. Okay, so then Aidan Quinn goes back to the house and sees, because he wants to see Nicole again. But Nicole at this point is fully possessed by the spirit of Goran. So she's in bed writhing like Linda Blair.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, while Aidan Quinn is watching her, these were good special effects. Goran's like spirit comes out of her body and is talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
So now Aidan Quinn sees that like ghosts are real and magic is real.
But then right after that he says,
well, but before what you're about to say, Aidan Quinn is able to banish Goran's spirit by showing him his police badge. Because earlier in the story, Sandra was trying to explain to him that we all do magic, you know, like you are able to do magic with your badge because it means something.
mm-hmm.
I thought that was so corny.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, Aidan tells them curses only have power if you believe in them, and I don't. Did you believe in ghosts 5 minutes ago? Because you just saw one. So I don't know. What are you talking about? But what were you going to say?
That was it.
Oh.
That was it. Like, it doesn't make any damn sense. Like,
okay. There's a scene when Nicole first comes back to stay with Sandra after they've killed Goran, and I guess they're going to start their new life together. That Nicole's trying to be like shake up Sandra's life, and so she shows up at a PTA meeting, and
where all the women hate
Sandra,
Sally Owens, little Sally Owens.
So one of them is talking shit, and Nicole uses her magic to bop her in the face, and then they're all voting on like the phone tree, which I don't have kids, but I think I remember this from when I was a kid, where they would disseminate all the parents'
how
phone
they would
numbers,
do information, yeah.
And then they kind of have a hierarchy of like who's like the top person you should call.
And the HBIC here is played by Lucinda Jenny, who you might remember from the Stephen King adaptation of Thriller.
But all the women vote.
Thinner, sorry.
All the women vote on who's going to be at the top of the phone tree. And then we see that Nicole Kidman has used her magic to make Sandra Bullock the top of the tree, which they're all surprised by because they all know that they didn't vote for her. Again, they're choosing to use their magic in this way. Why didn't you use your magic when Goran had you at gunpoint kidnapping you? I don't understand.
I don't either. Or when he's like at one point where they're kidnapped, he's peeing and he has the keys. It's like
you couldn't freeze him and take the keys and drive off.
Right. Like nothing.
I hated the fact that they didn't use their magic when it made sense. Okay. Then speaking about the phone tree and magic, when Sandra calls all these women, I just thought that this scene, it just comes out of nowhere. This script has done nothing but tell us that all these women like revile Sandra and her sister and the aunts. And then you call them and say, oh, one of my sister is trying to get over like her loser boyfriend. I need your help. And these women jump.
Well, and the thing is, it's the phone tree. So she only has to call one or two. And then the rest
spread. But it's like, yeah, I don't, that should have been, I should have felt like heartwarming, like, you know, like I feel like it should have tugged at something that all these women come together. Like at the end of the day, these women are going to support each other.
Well, at the end of it should feel like how the community comes together at the end of Tu Wong Fu.
Yes, like a silly comedy where I get emotional when they all come together for the Strawberry Social.
Well, because Chloe Webb has the one line of significance where she's like, "Oh, Sally's coming out."
Yes. And like it, but then it just feels so like I was just rolling my eyes like this is so stupid. And again, the tone, 1 minute it's a comedy, then it's like a romantic movie, then it seems like it wants to be a horror thriller. It's so jarring. My head was spinning.
I guess that's like life, right? I don't know. This felt very Midwestern to me.
If there's a remake or a part 2, I would definitely watch it. But I don't need it. I don't need this movie.
I don't need this unless they're going to do something actually interesting.
What would you give Practical
and
Magic?
Make it rated R, for Christ's sake.
Oh, this wasn't rated R?
No.
I mean, sure. I guess I should have known that.
Oh my God.
What would you? I've been talking shit about this movie for like 35 minutes. What would you give Practical Magic?
I would give this 1 star. I disliked this very strongly.
I guess I would. I mean, I also strongly disliked it, but
Speak your truth. You don't. I didn't like it.
I had thought 1.5.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it 1.5 out of 5.
So kind. So kind with that half a star extra.
It seems to mean a lot to some people.
Mm.
Okay, so we have a busy week.
Mm-hmm.
Next Friday is my birthday.
It is.
You know.
Oh, you're putting that out there for gifts, or?
Well, our Venmo's listed. Our P.O. box is in the description. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people want to send stuff. I do like candles, cologne, wine. Money's the best. What did the ladies from the DSM podcast say? We like something that jingles, but we prefer the kind that. There's some saying like when you give tithes at church, like that they want bills, not coins. But I just messed it up. Anyway. We're watching several things next week. Do you recall what they are?
Well, there's the Venom. The Last Dance is coming out. I think we see that.
Wait. I don't have that on my... Okay, so we're seeing... Well, I mean, I did want to... I guess because we watched the first two, but we didn't review them because they came out before we started this.
I think the sequel was. I think I wrote a review for the sequel. Not for anyway. You didn't see the one with Woody Harrelson,
so we're watching the new Venom movie next week. The review for Conclave is going up. We're seeing The Last Showgirl next week.
Yes, even though that doesn't come out till January.
Oh, never.
You haven't gotten back to me about other things. Like I kind of was interested in Magpie with Daisy Ridley, but also AFI starts next week, so I'm seeing a few screenings for that.
We're also seeing the Alamo Drafthouse. Well, I don't know who it's through, but there's like a 3-day event where Whitney's concert in South Africa, it has been like remastered and it's going to be shown on the big screen. So we're going to see that. Maybe we should, well, maybe like we'll talk about it on Patreon or something. Because I don't know if there's much to say about it. I'm familiar with the concert. I've watched clips of it on YouTube for years, but it'll be fun to see it with like great sound remastered. And Whitney still, you know, her voice was quite strong, and I'm sure they've tweaked it to sound even better. But yeah, that's it.
And then on Patreon, I think we're gonna do a review of The Ring.
Oh yeah, on Patreon, we're gonna talk about The Ring and maybe even The Ring 2 in sort of an add-on that I'm probably gonna release so everyone can hear it.
Okay, look at you.
Well, because I noticed that when I made your Fountainhead review available to all, that several people switched from being free members to paid members because they realized what they were missing out on. So I'm more than happy to incentivize.
There you go.
So really this Ring 2 review will be an acquisition tool, but
Ring.
But our conversion rates are pretty solid.
Oh, good. I
work in brand marketing, if you can't tell. But I think that's it. Anything else?
Nope.
Ta-ta.